Welcome to Jamie's Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to rebuild the Vanos unit in your BMW M54. If you don't know what Vanos is, it's basically German VVTi where it uses oil pressure to control your cam timing. If your Vanos is bad, you might notice it's hard to start, especially when it's cold. You could have engine hesitation, loss of power, bad fuel economy, a check engine light, or even a rattling sound at the front of the engine. When you rebuild the Vanos with new seals and anti-rattle springs, it usually takes care of all of those problems I just mentioned. Now, I'll be putting a list of the parts that I used along with the vehicle applications in the description. Make sure you check that out. I've already got the Vanos off the car and on the bench. Now, if you want a video on how to remove the Vanos from the engine, let me know and maybe I'll do that down the road. Let's stop wasting time. Let's go.
We're going to rebuild and clean this Vanos unit. The Vanos controls the intake and exhaust timing with oil pressure. It mounts to the front of the engine and connects directly to the camshaft timing gears. As you can see, the engine oil has varnished the aluminum. No worries, I'm going to show you an easy way to get that clean with degreaser like I have right here in this bowl. You're going to see how great this turns out once it's all clean. This is a dirty job, so let's go ahead and get the gloves on. This is the intake side and this is the exhaust side. The exhaust side is spring loaded, as you can see right here. The intake side isn't. I can move the piston back and forth with my fingers. Let's start by removing the exhaust camshaft sensor. I'm going to be replacing it with a new one once we're all done. Then I remove the 5 bolts from the intake cover and remove the piston. As you can see, the seals are right here. Look at how loose this thing fits inside the housing, showing you just how much we need to replace these seals. Next is the cover for the exhaust side. However, it's spring loaded, so I have to hold down the housing while I remove the 4 fasteners. We need to keep note here, the spring is cone shaped with the widest part of the spring sitting at the bottom of the housing. Here's the brown varnish I was talking about. All you do is apply some degreaser and scrub. If you let the degreaser soak, that works great too. I use this brush to agitate the degreaser and look how good that looks. I take the pistons over to the vise and I use a soft grip attachment to prevent any scoring or damage. I then use an electric impact and zip off the cap with a 24mm socket. The top washer, which came off with the cap, comes off first. Then I use my 90-degree pick to remove the thrust bearing. The thick middle washer is next, and then the second thrust bearing. And then finally the spacer ring. I replace the spacer ring with the new rattle ring. The new rattle ring is made up of tighter tolerances to make up any worn parts within the piston assembly to help prevent any rattling noises that we sometimes hear with these Vanos units. And then I assemble in reverse order while lubricating the parts with oil, and I do the exact same thing with the other piston. These pistons have Teflon seals that need to be cut out. I like to cut at a diagonal so I don't scratch the piston. Then I use a pick to remove the Teflon seal. Under the Teflon seal, surprise, is a rubber O-ring. I cut the same way to remove it. It's the same procedure for the top seal as it is for the bottom seal. Installing the O-rings, well, those are easy. The Teflon seals, however, are a little tricky because they don't stretch like the rubber O-rings do. I like to put the Teflon seals in a baggie, and then I put the baggie into hot water for about a minute. The hot water warms up the Teflon seals, making them more pliable. I then work the Teflon seal around the piston and into the groove. The Teflon seals need to be sized, so I lubricate the Teflon seals and the housing walls. I then put the piston into the housing and let it sit for about 60 seconds. This allows the Teflon seals to sort of compress to the correct size. I then remove the piston one more time and install the housing cover to compress the smaller seals. One last inspection reveals the seals are now properly seated, so now it's time to assemble the Vanos unit. I tighten all the fasteners to 10 Newton meters. By the way, look how clean this Vanos looks. And I didn't forget, it gets a new exhaust cam sensor too.
If you guys like this video, you probably will like the M54 that I built for ChrisFix. I'll put a link at the end of this video. Thanks for watching.